Hello, my fellow Chibits. Today I'm here to bring all of you the weekly manga chapter review of Tokyo Ghoul Re. And probably by now you can tell that this video is a little bit shorter than normal of what recent chapters have been. The reason for this is because I actually have something I need to do in about an hour. I have to go deal with some personal reasons. And so I don't really have much time, so to say, later tonight or today to really just research for hours on hours for Tokyo Ghoul. And I've also been dealing with a lot of different issues alongside of that. So this review is going to be a little bit shorter than normal, so that's going to kind of explain why the time frame is not as long as it usually is. And so let's dive into this review. So I'm just briefly want to say I'm going to cover everything as much as I can, but it's not going to be so in detail like I normally do. For instance, diving into different, Wiki pages to where I figure out certain symbolism and stuff. But I want to cover the main things that are really important with this chapter we need to carry over later on down the road. So anyway, starting off at the beginning, we have it to where we find out that Ure just still a boss. Still a fucking boss. Wrecking Connie like it's nothing. He's just destroying him. Seriously. Just destroying his ass. And as I said in my last review, I can't really put down Ure as much as I used to. I mean, even though he got deep-throated by Big Bubba, I can't really put him down because after seeing what he did last chapter and seeing what he did this chapter and causing, Kanye to run like a little bitch, kinda, it was impressive. I have to commend Ure for being a little bit of a badass. I do. And I will not put him down for that because witnessing what I saw, he definitely has done a damn good job. And also, the Psycho thing was actually before that, which I want to save towards the end of this review, which I'm kind of salty about. I'm a little bit salty about what happened to Psycho, but I'm glad everything is a-okay, but I will cover that. So, after that, we go back over to the Mutsuki and the user that's a trap. We kind of find out that this person is a dude, and it is a trap. So, I don't know what it is with Ashina and making trap characters. I don't know, but it's confirmed that the Quinkei user of the Ghoul side Ogiri tree is a he, and the trap nature of this character is fucking real. But enough of that. Getting to the point, this person, we kind of find out a little bit more of this character's motive or characterization. For instance, this character wants to collect Quinkei, so to say. For instance, in the middle of Mutsuki and this user's fight, you had it to where this person says, like, I want your Quinkei for my collection. I'm a Quinkei hunter. And as soon as I saw that dialogue, I think we can all agree to this when we were reading this chapter, that dialogue reminded me so much of Mato. It really did. Think about Part 1, Tokyo Ghoul, Mato, Akade's father, when he was collecting Kagane, making Quinkeis and stuff, remember what happened to Hinami and all that? Well, that entire situation reminds me of what's going on now in this chapter, and I'm like, yo, this person is kind of like Mato, but on the Ghoul side. Instead of, wanting to hunt down Kaganes and make them into Quinkei, it's like this person just wanting Quinkei and collecting them. And thinking about this for a second, it makes me assume that one of the theories I said in my last chapter review might be a little bit possible, because if you think about it, Mato was collecting, Quinkeis and Kagane because he wanted to build up a collection before he can fight the owl. That's what he wanted to do after what happened to his family. And as I said with this Quinkei, and since we found that this person is a Quinkei hunter, I'm going to assume that, A, that Quinkei is someone, a loved one or something that's perished in the past, and then this person is using that Quinkei to, I guess, carry on the legacy of that person that has died, or B, for this person to put up a fight against Arima. So I want to assume that Arima probably killed this person's loved one or something, and now he is collecting Quinkei to be able to fight Arima, because the Kagane of this person is a Bikaku, and it uses a lot of energy where he can't really control it and maintain it for a very long time, so he is forced to use Quinkei to be able to fight. So this kind of explains a couple of factors for the reason for this ghoul to use a Quinkei. Now, besides that, you also have to where Ure jumps in to save Mutsuki in this, and that really goes to show you some of the things I have been covering for the past couple chapters. Ure has made a very good change in character. I mean, he's still that stuck-up prick, but it seems like he cares for Mutsuki quite a bit. Especially after witnessing recent chapters of, in this chapter, him going out of his way to save Mutsuki, block a blow that would have hurt him, and then, you know, fighting, it says, like, fall back. I mean, it wasn't actually a fall back as him wanting all the credit. It wasn't like that, because if we know classic Urei, he would have said in his mind, like, fall back. Oh, I want to get this for my promotion. That's what, you know, classic Urei would say. So for him to not even say that when he went to save Mutsuki, it just goes to show you he has grown attached to him quite a bit. And that just shows you some form of growth or connection that those two have made. So very nice character progression Urei is currently going through, especially getting to see how he saved Mutsuki, which kind of settles that fight to where the person has to run away, because, you know, fighting two people at once is kind of a bad situation. Moving into the next segment, you also have it to where Sasuke, this is one of the main points I want to talk about when it comes to this chapter review. Sasuke continues his fight. And as I said in my last video, it seemed like Sasuke was getting fucking wrecked. It really did. I mean, it looked like he got his Quinke out, but it looked like he was getting wrecked, the way they just charged him like that. And after witnessing what I saw in this chapter, holy fucking shit. Sasuke. Damn. And he is actually holding his own, and he is wrecking them with Quinke and Kagane at once, just tearing them apart, ripping them a new asshole. They're screaming right now. And they're forced to run away because they feel like they're going to be devoured by this person, for instance, Sasuke. Now, talking about some of the panel work that was in this chapter, there's one panel that instantly wins the best panel of the chapter award, and it was definitely that scene with the lizard and the snake. Now, I know some might have heard what I said a couple chapters ago when I talked about the torturer that tortured Jason, and we found out about his identity and how he's shifting the blame over to, you know, Suzuya and all them. Well, with this chapter, we see this lizard pop up once again, and the lizard represents Jason and Jason's torturer. For instance, the one that passed down the knuckle cracking, the finger knuckle cracking to Kaneki. And if you think about this, when you saw the lizard getting devoured by the snake, it was symbolizing that Sasuke or Kaneki has surpassed his teachers. Because if you think about it, in a certain sense, Jason and then the other dude, I think his name is Kogage or whatever, I think that's his name because the dude's a crusty asshole and I actually forgot his name because we've only seen him once. I'll have to look it up later. But we do know, in a sense, they kind of could be considered like a mentor or teacher. I mean, they passed down the finger cracking. I mean, they caused it to where they had a radical change in personality, to which changed him to this day, and caused it to where our character, you know, Sasuke, is doing what he's doing because of the actions those two characters made. So, in a sense, they're kind of like Sasuke and Kaneki senpai. And seeing how the lizard was being devoured, it made me assume that since the lizard is being devoured, it's like Sasuke or Kaneki overcoming his masters or his teachers and succeeding them to where he's better in nature of strength and being a better person. And to see that, I like the symbolism that Ishida used in that. Definitely one of the best panels of the chapter. I think there's no denying that one at all. But I feel like there's more to that panel than meets the eye. I mean, to see that, it also goes to represent something else. As we do know, the men that were fighting Sasuke in this chapter were working underneath Naki, and they kind of have a relationship to, you know, Jason. And if you think about it, since they're kind of linked to Jason, of course they would kind of be considered lizards. And so the snake eating the lizards was also representing that Sasuke is still taking his aggression and anger out on Jason or Jason's subordinates. That's also what that could be considered as well. Now, besides that of the chapter, you also move over into the next segments with finding out that Rose and Ogiri Tree are linked in some way. This was clarified by Sasuke. He says it as he's about to go over to find Psycho. He's like, okay, so clearly Rose and Ogiri Tree are working together. For this dude, Kanye, to be here, and then also for Ogiri Tree to be here, they're working together in some way. We need to figure out fully their relationship. And now it's kind of clarified, which is probably going to complicate things for Shu in the near future, because we do know CCG wants to take out Ogiri Tree, and they also want to take out, you know, Rose. And finding out that they're connected, that's some bad news for Tsukiyama's family. Now, the Psycho part. This is the segment I really want to talk about. And I'm a little bit salty. I'm really fucking salty. Like, I'm glad it didn't go as far as I thought it was going to go. And I'm glad some of the things I said didn't go, but it still is possible, judging by the way it was done. But we see some characters pop up in this chapter that I think we all are quite happy to see. We saw Eto, we saw Almond, and then we saw Toka at the end of the chapter with Shu, which is some very, very good content that we all were probably happy to see, because I know there's a lot of Toka fans, and I do know the fans of Toka constantly say it in the comments. I see it constantly where they're asking, where's my Toka? Where's my Toka? She is not here. Where's my bae Toka? And I see this asked a lot. I do. I see it constantly. And so I bet the Toka fans right now are just jumping for joy like, yeah, 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 yeah. Toka's in the chapter. She's at the end. Now that means next week we're going to get to see Toka and talk with Shu and all that. So there you go, Toka fans. Toka is alive. She is here. She is here in a chapter. And next week, most likely. So, back to Psycho, okay? So, Psycho, the dude that was introduced at the end of last week's chapter was the dude that supposedly had this messed up pacing that was mentioned, and we get his name. And the thing is, this guy is actually breaking Psycho's bones, like about to break them, and then also takes a chunk out of Psycho and tries to bite her, and he was actually going to devour Psycho. So, judging by my power of deduction, like just thinking about this, for this ghoul to be trying to eat Psycho, it makes me assume that this guy might eat other ghouls, and he might have some form of kakuja. I mean, think about it. I mean, he's eating ghouls. I mean, ghouls eat each other, and when you eat enough ghouls, you get a kakuja. And thinking about it, for this guy to go out of his way to try to eat Psycho that is kind of ghoul, makes me assume that, you know, you might have a kakuja. And I mean, he also seems very fucking crazy, and as we know, half kakuja ghouls tend to be a little bit insane and nutty. That might also explain why he acted like he did in this chapter, but who knows. I'm just gonna throw that to the side for now. But yeah, Psycho gets a chunk bit out of her, and I'm glad it wasn't too bad, because I thought it was gonna go a lot worse. I thought Psycho was either A, gonna die, get captured, drugged to Ogiri Tree, and then fucked up, and I didn't want to see that. I really didn't want to see that. But something bad is going to happen soon, because Ishida-sensei doesn't just change over one of his profile pictures to a battle suit of either Sasuke or Kaneki without actually having some form of importance in the future. So that's probably going to be some form of color page. Thinking about previous pictures that Ishida has done for his profile picture, probably some form of color page in the next volume, or this upcoming volume. Most likely it'll be the color page. And we still need to see where that'll go in the next couple chapters of Tokyo Ghoul. So, chapter overall this week. Eto and Almond appearing, that's pretty good. I like that. So that means Almond is around. He is around. It's pretty much confirmed that's Almond. I mean, the way the armor was shown to, you know, what Psycho said to describe him, it's just a lot of these different things we saw in the panels of this chapter makes you assume it is Almond. And then also Eto was watching too. Eto was sitting there watching this entire battle and says, ooh, this is interesting and stuff. So Eto, she watches everything. She's watching this. She just wants to have a fucking good laugh, good times. And to see that, I'm like, yo, Eto, chill. Just chill, Eto. You just sitting here watching people kill each other, beating the fuck out of each other. You want to see how your boy Sasuke is doing. I mean, just so many things. And I mean, thinking about this in a sense, since we do know kind of Eto is a little bit twisted, maybe going after families, it might be possible that Eto might have some form of interest in Psycho and Mutsuki. There is a good possibility for Eto to be watching them. Think about it. I mean, yeah. So what if Eto actually kidnaps one of them? So that's my thoughts of this chapter. Sorry, I'm going to have to make this a little bit short because I need to head out and go deal with some family and personal issues. So you all have a wonderful day or night wherever you live. Please be safe. Chibi out.